You are traveling at 600 miles per hour. Your aircraft is on fire. The hydraulics have failed. The ground is rushing up to meet you. In this moment, you have one option left. It is a decision that has to be made in less than a second, but the consequences will stay with you for the rest of your life. We have all seen it in the movies. The hero pulls the handle, the canopy pops off, and they float gently to the ground, ready to fight the bad guys on foot. It looks like a reset button, but you already know it's all a lie. In the real world, an ejection seat is not a safety device. It is a desperate, violent last resort designed to save your life by nearly killing you. It is a controlled explosion that transforms the pilot from a human being into a projectile. The forces involved are so traumatic that pulling the handle often makes the end of a pilot's career. The compression of the spine, the shattering of limbs, and the sheer physical trauma mean that many who survive the ejection never fly a fighter jet ever again. Today we are going to break down the brutal physics of the ejection seat. We will look at the engineering that allows a human to outrun a supersonic jet, and the terrifying medical reality of what happens when you ride a rocket to survive. Now, to first understand why modern ejection is so violent, we first have to understand why it was invented in the first place. You see, in the early days of aviation, during World War I and most of World War II, escaping a dying plane was simple. You opened the canopy, you unbuckled your seatbelt, climbed out of the wing, and jumped. It was dangerous, but at speeds of 200 or 300 miles per hour, it was physically possible. But as the jet age dawned, the math has changed. When aircraft started pushing 500, 600, or 700 miles per hour, the air around the plane transformed into a solid wall. Engineers discovered a horrific problem known as the meat grinder. If a pilot tried to climb out of a jet manually, the split stream wouldn't just push them back. It would slam them directly into the tail fin of their own aircraft. You see, early test data showed that a human body simply cannot clear the structure of the plane fast enough to survive. And so the solution was to stop treating the pilot as a passenger and start treating them as cargo. If the pilot couldn't jump, the plane had to throw them out. And this birthed the ejection seat. However, the engineers faced a paradox. How do you throw a 200-pound human clear of a supersonic tail fin without snapping their neck in the process? The answer was raw power. And the cost of that power is what makes the experience a nightmare. Let's break down the anatomy of an escape. In a modern seat, like the Martin Baker Mk16 or the American Aces II, the entire sequence, from pulling the handle to parachute deployment, happens in less than 2 seconds. But the most critical part happens in the first 0.4 seconds. So, at 0.0 seconds, the pilot pulls the handle. This is the point of no return. In older aircraft, this mechanically fired a pin. In modern jets, it sends an electrical signal to a sequencer computer. The first thing the computer does is interrogate the aircraft. It checks altitude and airspeed to decide how violent the ejection needs to be. Time 0.05 seconds. Before the seat moves, the glass must go. It doesn't need to be said that you cannot possibly fly through a polycarbonate canopy designed to stop bird strikes. It would crush your skull. So there are 2 ways to do this. The gentle way is for rockets to blow the entire canopy off, and the fast way, which involves the MDC, Miniature Detonation Cord. This is a web of high explosives embedded directly inside the glass above the pilot's head. It detonates, shattering the canopy into millions of tiny fragments, clearing a path instantly. Now let's go to time 0.15 seconds. The catapult fires. This isn't the rocket just yet. This is a ballistic gas generator, essentially a cannon shell, telescoping the seat up the rails. Its job is to get the pilot out of the cockpit and into the airstream. As the seat rises, it slices through the connection cables, Radio, oxygen, and G-suit hoses are severed automatically. Now it's time 0.20 seconds. The seat clears the rails. Now, the main event begins. The underseat rocket motor ignites. This is necessary because the tail fin is coming at you at 600 miles per hour. You need to go up faster than the plane goes forward. This moment, rocket ignition, is where the human body meets the limits of biology. To clear the tail, the seat must accelerate the pilot at a rate of roughly 16 to 20 Gs. Let's put that number in perspective. A Formula One car under heavy braking hits 5 Gs. A roller coaster loop hits 4 Gs. A fighter pilot in a tight turn might sustain 9 Gs, but that force builds up gradually. An ejection seat delivers 20 Gs in a fraction of a second. It is an instantaneous vertical slam. If you weigh 180 pounds, for that split second, you weigh nearly 4,000 pounds. Imagine a pickup truck being parked on your shoulders instantly. The human spine is not designed for this. It acts as a shock absorber, but at 20 Gs, the shock is too great. The vertebrae compress violently. This is why pilots are taught perfect posture. Head back, chin in, spine straight. If your head is tilted forward even slightly looking at your instruments, the G-force will snap your neck forward, creating a whiplash effect that can be fatal. But the G-force is only the vertical threat. As soon as you leave the protection of the windscreen, you hit the horizontal threat, the Q-force. Leaving a cockpit at 600 knots is like stepping in front of a freight train made of air. The windblast hits the pilot with a force of hundreds of pounds per square inch. This wind is strong enough to rip limbs out of their sockets. This is known as flailing. If a pilot's arms or legs are not secured, the wind will whip them backward, shattering bones instantly. So to prevent this, modern seats have leg garters, cables attached to the cockpit floor that snap tight as the seat rises, violently yanking the pilot's legs against the chair to keep them from being ripped off. Now, let's assume the chute opens. Let's assume you land safely. You are alive. But the battle isn't over. The medical reality of ejection is a taboo subject, but the data is startling. According to military medical studies, approximately 1 in 3 pilots who eject sustain a significant spinal injury. The most common injury is a compression fracture. The intense G load literally crushes the vertebrae. It is a well-known fact in the aviation community that pilots who survive an ejection are often physically shorter than they were before the flight. They lose between 5 to 10 millimeters of height because of their spinal discs have been permanently flattened. This injury is the career killer. To fly a high-performance jet, your back must be able to withstand the daily rigors of 9G maneuvers. Once the spine has been fractured and healed, its structural integrity is compromised. The risk of re-injury is too high. Medical boards often permanently ground these pilots. They are alive, but their wings are clipped. They might fly cargo planes, or they might fly a desk, but their days as fighter pilots are often over the moment they pull that handle. It is worth noting that not all ejection seats are created equal. This technology became a major battleground during the Cold War. While Western seats like the Aces II focused on reliability and weight, the Soviet Union took a different approach with their famous K-36D seat. The Russians were obsessed with supersonic ejection, surviving at speeds of Mach 2 or more. Their seat features a wind deflector, 2 telescoping booms that pop out to shield the pilot's face from the airflow. It also has massive leak filters and arm clamps. In 1999, at the Paris Air Show, a Russian Sukhoi 30 crashed. The pilots ejected almost upside down, just meters from the ground. Both survived unscathed. It proved that while the experience is brutal, the engineering is miraculous. There is a very exclusive club in the world. You cannot pay to join. You cannot apply. You only have to fall out of the sky to get in. It is called the Ejection Thai Club, run by Martin Baker. The requirement for membership is simple. You must have ejected from an aircraft equipped with a Martin Baker seat and lived to tell the tale. There are over 6,000 members worldwide. Each one of them wears the tie as a badge of honor. But they also carry the hidden scars, the aching backs, the stiff necks, the memories of the explosion that saved them. The ejection seat is a paradox. It is a machine designed to save life by inflicting violence. It is the most dangerous safety device ever created. So the next time you see a movie hero pull the handle and walk away without a scratch, remember the reality. They didn't just float away. They survived a 20G car crash in the sky. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell.